Welcome back to the Non-League Paper's Non-League Goalmouth. My name is Matt Badcock. I'm the editor-at-large of the Non-League Paper. I'm joined by our executive editor, John Couch, and our man in the Northeast, Mark Carruthers. Welcome in, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Very busy week. Before we get going, we'll do a bit of admin to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and we really appreciate all the positive comments we've had so far. It really does help us, and hopefully you're enjoying the new content that we've kind of kicked off this season. But we're going to go talk a lot about the FA Cup fourth round qualifying. That's obviously this weekend, Saturday, and even into Monday when the first round proper draw is as well. But we'll start with catching up with you guys. Mark, you saw a bit of a stonker in midweek. We're just talking before we came on, catching me. We seem to pick the 0-0s or the 1-0s with a penalty. You tend to go where there's loads of goals, so we need to start following you around, mate. But tell us about your midweek trip.
I wouldn't recommend following me around. I wouldn't. But no, I think
you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting few days, to be honest. I covered 4 games in 3 days last weekend across sort of non-league and Premier League 2 as well, with Newcastle's 21s, but nothing I witnessed over that weekend compared to what I saw at Croft Park on Tuesday night. Northern Premier League East game between Blyth Spartans and Heaton Stannington, 2 clubs that were, I think I worked it out, 4 levels apart as recently as 2 years ago in the pyramid, 4 steps apart, now competing at the same level. However, it was Heaton Stan who punished I can only call it an abysmal performance from Spartans in the first 45 minutes. We're 3-0 up at half time. Went to 4-0 up 10 minutes into the second half, and Spartans were reduced to 10 men at the same time. So you're thinking this could get really nasty from a Spartans point of view. Heaton Stannington played brilliantly. The attacking play was exceptional. And then just out of nowhere, Spartans got a penalty. Heaton Stan had a man sent off. And all of a sudden, the game's kind of flipped on its head, and Spartans are, you could see kind of the belief sort of slowly creeping back in, got back to 4-3 as the game went in injury time, and then hit the crossbar with pretty much the last kick of the game. You know, the sort of check to your Newcastle United against Arsenal moment, almost. But yeah, just a bizarre game of football, and I've been trying to do little videos after games to try and make sense of it, but I don't think I did with that one. I think I just rambled, much like I'm doing now. But it was, just one of the most surreal games I've seen. And I wouldn't even say Spartans played well second half. I think, that might sound a bit cruel, but I think it was just the standards raised, but I'm talking from the lowest of low, bases. There is a report on the Non-League Paper website and a bit of reaction from both managers who were equally bewildered after the game. So it was just it was a weird atmosphere after the game where you had Spartans fans clapping and some sort of saying, well, they don't deserve to be clapped because, how poor they were for large parts of the game. And Heaton Stan fans delighted because they've just beaten, Blyth Spartans after progressing up the non-league pyramid to face clubs like them. But at the same time, also a little bit bewildered again from what went on in the latter stage of the second half. So yeah, just a weird night all around. But hopefully, what I've written made some sense of it.
Yeah, like I say, get over onto the website nonleaguefootballpaper.com and catch up with that. It's I think just saying before, I feel like I'm due a slightly bonkers game like that, and I feel like I've had one for quite a while. But maybe we'll dive into where you're going on Saturday quite early on, so that if you do want some guaranteed goals at the weekend to get along to where Mark is on Saturday. But it's all big, a big week in the FA Cup. Obviously, we've been building up towards this round for the last couple of months. Obviously, with the competition starting at the very first weekend of August, but we're at the fourth round qualifying stage now. Obviously, the National League clubs have come in. It is all about getting through this weekend and possibly in midweek in the replays, if you can, to get into that first round hat. This is kind of where everything is in front of all these teams that are in it. 64 teams, 32 games overall. It's all in front of them of what could be sort of a life-changing sort of period. But we've got these big games on Saturday, and obviously Worthing against Forest Green on Monday night, when the draw is going to be just before taking place just beforehand for the first round proper. But we thought it'd be interesting, chaps, if we kind of picked out a few games that are not necessarily upsets, but maybe where you do fancy an upset, where the games you're kind of sort of intrigued by, and like I say, maybe a possible upset. But Couch, we'll start with you. What's the one that's kind of caught your eye to start with, to kick us off on this?
Well, yeah, tough because there's so many, but the one that absolutely leaps out at me is my old muckers at Farnham Town. The lunchtime kickoff on the telly. It's quite simply the biggest game in their history. Sutton United coming down. Sutton in obviously Chris Agatha's just come in, so it's been a bit of a period of transition for them. They haven't started the National League season particularly well. Farnham go into the game on the back of back-to-back promotions, doing really well in Southern Premier South as well. They're going to have a full house down there. They're going to have 2,000 plus. They've already shown this season that they can really put on a show in front of those home supporters, and I know they've got a lot planned down there for Saturday as well. They're going to embrace the cameras. They're going to embrace the big occasion, and I tell you what, if you're looking for upsets, and that's certainly one place to keep an eye, because they're a good side down there, and Paul Johnson's really built up a team that the town can be proud of, and Sutton is sort of going to walk into a little bit of a cauldron, and if they have an off day, then they could certainly struggle.
Yeah, we've talked before about the Farnham Town sort of success in recent years and how they've kind of exploded really. Since Harry Hugo's kind of taken them over, it's been an incredible rise. And I think if you're looking for a game on Saturday, Farnham's a nice little town as well. You can go and have a little walk around the castle before. Yeah. I'm sure you've been up there. Good pub crawl. Good pub. There's a few good pubs.
Good pub crawl in Farnham. So if you're if you're in and around the area and fancy taking in the game, there's I think it's actually there's a mapped out pub crawl in Farnham, which is very popular in and around the area. So recommended.
That's all go.
That's it. Yeah, why not?
We should all go. We should all go to the castle.
If you come, Mark, it won't be 0-0 anyway.
Yeah, that's what it could be, renting Mark out to get to games. Goals rather than seeing boring ones. But definitely one that sort of stands out. And as you said, the TV cameras are going to be adds that little bit extra, that lunchtime kickoff, isn't it? So Sutton, that's fair to say they know a thing or two about FA Cup shots and upsets and history, and and obviously when they got that game against Arsenal a few years ago. Incredible sort of cup legends down at Sutton, but hoping that they're not on the wrong end of it this week for sure. Mark, where are you heading to?
I'm at South Shields against Spalding, which feels like a very dangerous game for South Shields. I know they've been in unbelievable form this season, unbeaten in the league and cup, obviously in cup. Ian Watson getting manager of the month in National League North for the first 2 months of the season. But this feels really dangerous. Spalding hitting a bit of form, and looking what they've done in the competition so far. I think it's Alfred and Dagenham they've put out, so have step 2 victories on their record. So it feels like a really dangerous game for South Shields. That said, I think if South Shields are on form, the attitude's right, which I'm sure it will be, you'd expect them to progress. But it does feel like, as I say, a dangerous game. But it should be, a great occasion. I love this round of the competition. I think it's kind of, for me, it's the best round of the whole thing, because that dream of non-league clubs getting into the first round, picking out the amount of former Premier League clubs in League One and League Two now is incredible. So the thought of Bolton Wanderers turning up at one of our non-league clubs is just remarkable, really. So you can sense that it's so close now, which is why, I love this stage of the competition and everything that it brings. So I'm going, and with all due respect to Spalding, given South Shields' form, expecting a South Shields win, but had a good long chat with Ian Watson last night, and he knows, having watched Spalding, that they're in for a game. So could be one to watch that one.
Yeah, you got an experienced manager there, and Jimmy Dean, haven't they, Spalding? So lots, someone who knows knows his way around. There's 3 Step 4 clubs in the competition, isn't there? And still left in, and obviously one at Step 5, Whitstable. And I think we have to take a couple of minutes to talk about them. Incredible run Whitstable been on, incredible period of the club's history with their FA Vars win last year under the arch, obviously beating AFC Whiteleaf, and Jamie Coyle, the manager, playing that day. That was his final hurrah, hanging up his boots. And they've had a great run in the FA Cup so far. They've beaten 3 Step 3 sides, obviously knocked out Dulwich, Chichester, and then in the last round, Hungerford. And I spoke to Jamie Coyle last week, and they were getting in the car that day to drive up to Bratley to go and see Wildstone at Bratley to kind of get as much information as they can. They run themselves really professionally. He's played higher up the pyramid and been involved in cup shots himself as a player at Maidstone. And a really interesting one, and Couch, a great one for the competition, for a Step 5 club to be this far. They're going to have their work cut out against Wildstone. Obviously, Sam Cock's doing a fine job down there. But it's a really interesting one to see. And can Whitstable, can they somehow make their way through and get into that first round proper?
Yeah, it's the magic of the cup, isn't it? It's what the FA Cup's all about. Why not? I mean, they're absolutely flying. They know all about big games, having played in that Vars final. As you say, they've beaten 3 Step 3 teams to get this far. I think they're really relish going to Wildstone. Wildstone maybe take their foot off the gas. Who knows? I think they'd be fools if that was in their thinking. I'm sure it's not under Sam Cox, who, as you say, knows his stuff, and he knows that Whitstable will carry a threat. But I think when you go into a game like that with absolutely no fear, no pressure, all the pressure is obviously on that home side. I think when you go into that with that kind of attitude, I think anything can happen. And if they can take the break off, I think they could give Wildstone a real good game. And it's certainly again, like we said earlier, if Wildstone have an off day, then all of a sudden it could be interesting. Wildstone will start as strong favourites, but I don't think they'll relish. I don't think they'll fancy coming up against a team so high in confidence and flying high. And I think that could be the theme for the whole weekend. Actually, I think because there's a lot of ties there where there's teams who are going really, really well, and coming up against higher ranked sides. And as I say, all about attitude, all about on the day.
Yeah, like you just saying there, Mark, these can be dangerous old weekends for the higher ranked club, can't they? You can, you see so many will sort of kind of sail through as you'd expect, but there will be somewhere that someone comes unstuck, and it is, as we said before, that's why we sort of enjoy this part of the competition.
It is, but it's all down to attitude, isn't it? It's if you show any complacency in this competition, we know that the magic just turns up, and all of a sudden you find yourself on the wrong end of a famous defeat. I mean, we've all been at those games as well, haven't we? Over the last however long we've been doing this, we've seen it where clubs that you just don't expect to get a result against high level opposition, it just comes from nowhere, and that goes from. I mean, I guess some of the best examples have been in what I hate calling the proper rounds of the competition, but since everyone does, the run that Lincoln went on when they beat Burnley and they beat Brighton, did well against Arsenal. That just
Ipswich. Did they beat Ipswich as well, Couchy?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah. Anyway, move on.
We'll talk about Maidstone and beating Ipswich in a minute.
Move on.
So it's we've all been at those games. I mean, I was at the Lincoln Brighton game, and you think with that one, it's even if Brighton, who were I think in the Championship at the time, weren't they? They were battling for the title with Newcastle, and you think even if they rest a couple, they're still going to have too much, but it still happens. I mean, there's better examples than that, I know, but it's one that springs to mind. But yeah, the clubs, the Step 1, Step 2 clubs, particularly Step 1, since it's their first games in this season's competition, if those attitudes aren't right, then they can come unstuck, and all of a sudden that first round dream can evaporate pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think you sort of, whether the gaps kind of sort of narrowed or not, I don't know, but you sort of see, I feel like this last few years we've seen, and again, this is kind of just a feeling, not kind of got the stats to back up necessarily, but I sort of feel like teams who go away often to sort of league clubs are often doing well. You think of Horsham a couple of years ago when it got that mad result up at Barnsley to get a replay, and I think Alvechurch beat Cheltenham away a couple of years ago. You're sort of feeling like it's not all about that home advantage as well necessarily, because the levels are kind of coming up, and if you are having a great day and the other team sort of do take the foot off the gas or get a bit caught on stuff, like that Maidstone Ipswich one that was at Portman Road, it can be tricky, and that's the same sort of thing that goes in these rounds as well, isn't it? Yeah. What have you got on your list next, Couchy? We're looking forward to seeing.
Continuing with that theme, Altrincham against Harbour Town. Altrincham have had a bit of a stop-start season so far. They haven't really got going. They were sort of one of the teams that over the last few years we said could push for playoffs. They've flattered to deceive a little bit when it comes to the business end of the season. They haven't started particularly well either. They've had to sell a lot of their best players, but Phil Parkinson's been in the game a long time, and he knows exactly what he's going to get this week in Harbour Town, who flying high in Step 3 at Southern Premier Central. They've had a rapid rise, haven't they, through the non-league pyramid. And unlucky not to get promoted last year, actually. And second season at Step 3, and they're absolutely flying. And this will probably go down as probably one of their biggest weekends in their history, and they'll go there with absolutely nothing to lose. There'll be a half decent crowd there. I'm sure there'll be a few that will follow them. And again, as Mark said, any kind of complacency, then Harbour are absolutely the right kind of team to jump on that. And I think this could be a very uncomfortable afternoon for Altrincham if they don't get that attitude right.
Yeah, again, Altringham's among the sort of the great giant killers, aren't they, as well, down the years? I remember going up there
of course.
A few years ago, and so I spent I managed to get the NLP expenses account to fund a night in a hotel, and I saw Salford beat Notts County on the Friday night, and then the next day went and saw Altrincham beat Barnsley on the Saturday, and had a nice weekend in the Northwest and saw back-to-back shocks. So a club that know all about it, but as you say, Harbour, they'll go there with.
I thought you only go to the Bahamas, Batters, don't you?
Well, that wasn't Bahamas. Well, no, let's not exaggerate. It was Bermuda, so not quite as far as. And I've always said it was that water in the sea was just too clear. It was too clear for me, and the sand was too soft. I just was, someone had to do it. I took the hit for the team, but I also go to the Northwest as well occasionally.
Have you ever done a cold Tuesday night at Stoke though?
No, I've not actually done a cold Tuesday night at Stoke. Well,
I only do Bahamas.
I've done a cold Saturday afternoon at Huddersfield when Dover got there in the FA Cup a few years ago, and I think Dover were 2-0 down after about 12 minutes. And then Huddersfield kind of just knocked the ball around. And Dover had a great run that year. They had Adam Birchall in the side, and he was flying for them. But yeah, they sort of Huddersfield were in League One at that point and sort of got 2 early goals. I always remember a journo asking the question afterwards if Huddersfield had scored too early, which didn't go down great. Going back to sort of Harbour, and they had their brilliant run last year, obviously, didn't they? And they got through, and they really gave Reading a real scare.
They did,
at the Medeski Stadium. They sort of going back to the point of club
crazy game, wasn't it? Like 5-3, I think it was.
Absolutely bonkers. Went into extra time, didn't it? I think it's 3-3, and they led.
Should have beaten them.
Absolutely, an absolutely bonkers afternoon. Again, away at the Medeski Stadium, which sort of goes to show, I think we sometimes see those TV games are often sort of non-league side at home to the big gun, but it does work the other way around. So that was they'll go there with that full of that confidence. Mitch Austin is on the sidelines is a larger than life character, to say the least. Their manager at Harbour, and they'll be relishing that. He'll have them bang up for it, won't he? And again, they could be ones to watch out for. Who's next on your list, Mark?
Well, I think we both had it on Wallace Couch use. It was Gateshead going to Aveley. I know we were going to bring this up in terms of travel distances and stuff like that, which obviously we will. But
local derby.
It is, yeah. I mean, I was saying that the other day.
The good thing is they can wave at Billericay on their way by.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
They're going up to Spennymoor.
Yeah, the whole Essex Northeast thing, you know. It's
a big rivalry down the years. That's what makes the FA Cup so special, Couch.
It is. That north half of the draw was pulled out some right local derbies, didn't it? But yeah, look, this is again, I keep using the phrase, but it's a really dangerous game for Gateshead because, look, as a National League side, they should be going there full of confidence that they can get into the first round. And I think this year, given the financial situation at Gateshead, getting to the first round and that potential lucrative draw is probably even more important. But at the moment, obviously there's reasons behind it. They're just not finding any consistency. They have the most horrendous injury list. They've got 11 players out at the moment, and I think 6 of them are centre-backs. So I may be wrong unless something's happening as we're on air now. They haven't really got a fit natural centre-back in the squad. They're all working, which is why I keep looking at my phone. I apologise. They're all working to get one over the line, or at least one over the line before. I feel like Carvey Solikol here on deadline day.
How many phones have you got, Mark? You got 3 there. Have you sort of got?
Yeah, I've got 3 just
at the same time.
3 phones.
Yeah,
get you in trouble.
But no, I mean, look, it's a Gateshead need to get a centre back fit or someone in through the door, because otherwise this is a really, really difficult game. I think yes, there will be favourites because of the league status and where they are, but I just feel as if, again, and I keep saying this and I apologise, if Gateshead standards aren't there, if the attitude's not there, if there is any sign of complacency, this could go down as a shock. Alan Armstrong will demand professionalism, ultra professionalism. I know he will. They played a county cup game on Wednesday when some sort of first team players got some game time as they're coming back from injury. But at the minute, I can't help but feel for Alan, and I know he's getting a lot of stick. But they pulled out 2 unbelievable results at Braintree and Morecambe before losing against Boston last weekend, and it kind of summed it up because he played 2 midfielders at centre back because he had no other options, and one of them went down kind of under very little challenge and has ruptured his Achilles and is out for the season now, Connor Panny. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
just completely innocuous and has gone down. And you heard the noise when he went down, the kind of scream that he let out, and you look and thinking it didn't look that bad. And then all of a sudden, after the game, Gateshead, I mean, Alan said to me after the game, we think it's his Achilles, and turns out it is. So even the stand-in centre-backs are picking up injuries now, so you have to feel for them. And yeah, I think if the forward players are at it, they should win the game. But it's that worry about what's happening at the other end of the pitch. But Aveley will be bang up for it. I'm certain there'll be a really strong crowd there, really partisan crowd as well, and they'll want to pull off what will be a huge shock against a Step 1 club. So that one to me, yeah. And then you throw in the travel as well. I mean, we should say that. Obviously, I know Gateshead aren't averse to long distance travelling, but it does throw something else into the mix.
They probably couldn't believe that when Aveley got through in their replay, could they?
Yeah,
they were going down there. But I mean, yeah, it was sort of slightly. I mean, I can't really remember a draw like it where we've kind of had these sort of like geographical anomalies. Because as we say, Billericay going up to Spennymoor. I spoke to Danny Scopes last week. They beat Hensford in their replay to get this tie, and he was actually quite he said, in the FA Cup, you've got to accept that sometimes you're going to have to travel if you want to go well in it. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a different experience. They're going up on the club are looking after them. They're going up on the Friday to really make sure they get their preparation right. Interestingly, he said they're going to stay an hour away from Spenny so that they kind of still have that sort of coach journey that kind of slightly replicates their journeys that they're used to in the division.
Yeah, good idea.
He's got experience of it as well, having been at Aveley before when they're in the National League South, and they had a couple of overnights. And I think he's put the logistics are in Adam Drew. They've brought across from Chelmsford. He's Scope said that he's the tour guide, so he's sorting everything out. But they're going to do everything correct to give themselves the best opportunity on the day. I think he's well aware of what Spennymoor have, and especially in that certain striker up front in Glenn Taylor, they're going to have to deal with if they're going to get through. But yeah, it's a slightly strange one where we've had that sort of quirk this year of the long distance travelling, which possibly from that third round, the way that the third round regions had to be split out, and the replays that sort of kind of came from it. So yeah, an interesting one for sure. But Spennymoor and Mark, they'll have to be on their guard as well, won't they? Similarly as we're just saying with the others.
Well, yeah. I mean, firstly, I hope they're not staying in Newcastle on a Friday night, because that could be dangerous. But
could be good fun though. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe that's what he said. He didn't say where they were staying, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So yeah, look. Again, I look at Spenny and you think of their experience of getting to Wembley last year in the trophy final, and they've had a good start of this season. They've added well to the squad despite losing some key players in the summer. And you think in terms of the playoffs, this could be the year that they do actually break through and get in the playoffs after 2-3 years of narrowly missing out. So I think Graham Lee's done an unbelievable job there, by the way. I should say, just one of the best people you can meet in football. Graham, really nice guy. Great to talk to, knows the game, passionate about it, and I think he's done a fine job kind of piecing together a new look Spennymoor to an extent, and also ensuring that the kind of long-serving players like the Glenn Taylors and Rob Ramshaws of this world are also still improving even at their age, with all due respect to both of them. But yeah, I mean, in Glenn, they have a player that has been to the FA Cup first round. He's done everything with the club. And
FA Trophy final, yeah.
FA Trophy final on his birthday as well, wasn't it? We should forget that. Yeah. So, yeah, I just think, Graham being the professional he is and having that experience in the squad will help them. Again, it is a banana skin of a tie for those fans of FA Cup cliches. But I think, again, Spenny hit their levels if they have that attitude. That's right. If they show the right mentality, then they can get through. I mean, I remember them getting through against when they played MK Dons in the first round of the competition, and they want to get back to places like that and have that experience of playing a Football League club again. And there's no reason why they can't do it this weekend.
Yeah, maybe let's stay up in that sort of area of the country, because another game you were going to pick out, Mark, I think was Gainsborough against Hartlepool, which is again all the makings of an upset. When you sort of take in Gainsborough's last sort of couple of years, they obviously got to the second round last year where they played Harrogate after beating Hensford in an absolutely bonkers first round game. I think Russ Wilcox, manager, still kind of half recovering from that, but they've beaten Boston in that run, and they also beat York in the FA Trophy last year as well. So they're able to cause an upset on their day if they turn up and play as well as they can, and they've started really well in the Northern Prem this season as well. So a very tricky one for Pools.
My annoyance with this one is the fact that if Gainsborough had went out in the last round, we would have had Dunstan against Hartlepool, which, being strictly northeast focused here, would have been an unbelievable tie to cover. But yeah, as it is, I mean, Gainsborough, I did speak to people at Dunstan about that game. I wasn't there, but they were really impressed with Gainsborough, said they were excellent. And, having seen them in recent seasons, you can see there's something coming together there. Obviously been a few changes, but yeah, again, a really dangerous tie for Hartlepool. I think at the moment, Pools just can't find that consistency. I think, at the top end of the pitch, it's not quite clicking for them yet. And, again, we talk about wanting money in a club and they'll want to get in that first round. I mean, Hartlepool for me is a Football League club and everything but status at the moment. I think, you look at the support they get, even when times are tough, they're an incredible club. But this is a real severe test, I think, of the mentality within the squad. Going to Gainsborough is never going to be easy. And I think when there's going to be a decent sized crowd there, with it being a national break, they'll get, the local community behind them. It's going to be a real test for Simon Grayson and his players. And you just wonder if Gainsborough were to put a little bit of pressure on early, how would Pools react to that on the back of what's been a slightly disappointing run of form? So yeah, this again, I keep saying could be one to watch.
Yeah, like I say, Gainsborough kind of got that's surely what they'll be looking to do early in Russ Wilcox. They got someone who has managed much higher up and is a wily operator as well. Couch, what else have you got on your list to to talk about. We're going to maybe touch on those, maybe the Step 4 clubs. Can we come on to those? You've
Yeah.
got Runcorn Linnets hosting Buxton. They've had a great run to get to this point, and then obviously we've got Malden and Tiptree, the all Step 4 side tie. Malden and Tiptree against Flackwell Heath, which is going to be fascinating one, and great that we get at least one Step 4 club guaranteed into the first round.
Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, there's always one tie that we love probably more than the others in NLP Towers, and I think this is it. This is the one for us really for this weekend. Malden and Tiptree against Flackwell Heath. What an opportunity for both of these guys. Certainly for Flackwell Heath, I think it's the first time they've got this far in about 21 years. This is a famous club and in Berkshire, and they had a really good result to beat Bracknell Town 3-0 away in the previous round to get to this stage. And they're going up against a Malden Tiptree side who are on the crest of a wave at the moment, aren't they? Got new ownership, very ambitious down there. They've had a great start to the Isthmian North season, and they got cup history as well. It wasn't so long ago. Remember they went to Leyton Orient, didn't they? And did they get a draw at Leyton Orient? And
they beat Leyton Orient. Yeah, I think they beat them at Orient from memory. And then because I went to I think they must have played Newport County in the second round, because I remember going to that on a Friday night.
That's
right.
They were on the telly, weren't they? On the telly
on Friday night against Newport, and they were actually really close to beating them. I think it was Paul Regamon scored little stooping header, little goal score. You don't give an inch in the box, and they did, and he sort of nodded one in kind of quite late on to get Newport County through, but they were under Wayne Brown then Malden. They did
Wayne Brown,
players who kind of went on from that squad, and
Jordan Slew.
He scored at Orient,
yeah.
So they have got that bit of history. Obviously, a lot of change there, as you say, with the new ownership that are ambitious to say the least. I spoke to manager Kevin Horlock, who knows a thing or two about big games from his playing career. Obviously, played in that famous scored in that famous Manchester City comeback against Gillingham in the playoff final at Wembley all those years ago. I think 99. So he knows a thing or two about big games, and he's quite open to say, the pressure's on us this year. We've got to get, we need to get promoted, but they also are really up for a cup run, and they know they've got to turn up as well though on the day, because he said when I spoke to him last week, he'd been watching the Flackwell Heath game back, and he said these are no mugs to be sort of going to Bracknell and beating them the way they are. We need to be bang on it. But as you say, I think both sides are really seeing it as an opportunity that one-off game. Let's go out and give our best and see who can get through and get into that first round, and then what awaits is the really exciting thing. I guess it's for Runcorn Linnets, isn't it? They've got a tough one against Buxton, but they're at home, Badcock side, and they can kind of just go out and try and do their best and enjoy it, and see if they can pull off the unthinkable.
Yeah, I think they fancy that. I think they fancy Buxton. I think that Buxton are precisely the kind of ilk of side that they would have relished playing at home against a side who have not really pulled up trees at Step 2, but have certainly held their own. They're a good Step 2 side, and I think they've got a big fan base up in Runcorn. They're a very popular club. They've done things the right way since forming, and they'll be absolutely pumped up for this. And again, Mark says the word dangerous tie. Certainly is for Buxton on Saturday. I don't think they're fancying that very much, to be honest. It could be, certainly could be a bit of an eye opener. I think that one.
Yeah, definitely. Any other FA Cup predictions for this season? I think mine's Boreham Wood will make the third round, as they sort of tend to.
It's a gimme.
But what is it about Boreham Wood? You saw Boreham Wood in the third round again. They seem to get there all the time.
Garrett's back there again, isn't he?
It's something about that side that they just, and how they just do it year after year. It's incredible.
It's amazing how you have clubs, isn't it, throughout the pyramid who are kind of synonymous with the FA Cup. Getting to the first round, second round, third round. And you just feel when a league club gets drawn against them, they must just think, oh God, like no, not easy. If you come out the bag with like you say, like an Ultranum or a Boreham Wood, or given years ago, like with Spartans as well, it was clubs that kind of made their names almost on FA Cup games, and you just see them. And Wogan could be another one as well. I mean, you look at clubs like that, and you think if they get through the first round, despite the fact they may draw a League One club, or a good League One club as well, the opposition must be thinking like, we know what these can do, and really, it's got no relation to the past, does it? It's purely just a name.
Yeah, it was different people, just not the same. But yeah.
Such a weird thing, but yeah, I think my prediction will be if South Shields get through tomorrow, I think they'll cause a shock in the first round. Sorry, on Saturday.
Did they when they got to the first round a couple of years ago? Was it Forest Green?
Well, if they do get through on Saturday, it's the third time in 6 seasons, I think it is. So they played Forest Green on BBC Saturday lunchtime.
Was that when Connor Wickham scored like a mad goal from the halfway line or something? Yeah. For Forest Green.
My main criticism of Shields in that game was the fact that they didn't really attack it. They sort of sat back for about 80 minutes and found themselves, I think it was 2-0 down, and didn't really go for it. I came away thinking, well, you haven't really had a go at that. But then during the COVID years, whatever it was, they played Cheltenham away as well, and did have a go at Cheltenham. I think they either went ahead or got an equaliser. I think it was an equaliser, but lost. I think it was 3-1 in the end. I was kind of lost in a COVID haze that day. But I was down at the game covering it for the local papers up here, and they did have a bit of a go. It was actually the last game of Lee Picton and Graham Fenton's kind of joint managerial reign, because I remember filing my report, and then Lee came to get me, and he was like, "Can we have a chat?" And he was like, "Look, I'm stepping down and stepping into a new role at the club."
And you're like, "Thanks very much." Great, that's really thanks for letting me know.
So but I mean, if they were to get through on Saturday 3 times in 6 seasons for a club that were either in the NPL or the National League North, is a very good record, I would say. So, and I think if they do, with what's going on, I wouldn't be shocked if they did cause an upset in the first round proper.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? There's these, as we said at the start, it's all in front of all these teams now, and it's just about trying to get into that, and then hoping that the kind of the ties come out of the hat as you'd hope. Any others you're kind of looking out for, Couchy, and sort of any predictions you'd like to make? Put your neck out.
Yeah, there's a few. Just I picked out a few. I like AFC Tottenham against Truro City. AFC Tottenham are going great guns under Jimmy Ball. They're absolutely flying, and Truro obviously back in the not back in the National League, in the National League for the first time. That's a tricky one, but certainly the winner of that will be a name to look out for in the first round hat. And Southport against FC Halifax Town, I think, is got a nice sort of ring to it. I know you spoke to Adam Lakeland, manager of Halifax. He's going really well. I think 5 wins on the trot for Halifax, but tricky tie for them at Southport. Again, nothing to lose, and I can remember going to watch Farnborough at Southport in the FA Cup on the cup run that took them to Arsenal, and tricky afternoon that was. And I think if Halifax are going to make it 6th, then I think they're going to have to play well.
Yeah, I was also at that game. I went up to that Southport Farnborough game, and I remember being interviewed by the BBC beforehand, and I sort of went all manager and started talking about the surface of the pitch. It was sort of getting right above my station, sort of talking about how Farmer could, because I think Southport had knocked somebody out in that sort of first round that year, hadn't they? I think Southport they'd come off a good result. I think
that would have been
from memory.
Yeah, that was the
second round. It was the second round, because Farmer, I think, beat Harrogate Railway or something in the first round. Then
Darlington,
third round, Farmer Darlington. Who I think they just whacked Stevenage in the round before, and then Farmer went up to Darlington in the third round. Then obviously the Arsenal game, and then all sorts of very interesting things happen after that. That's a podcast for another day. From a farmer point of view, it's quite a bit of a turning point in part of their history.
Quite
got the time to go into all that. But kind of a bonkers run. I think I always feel with the FA Cup, it's you want these runs for the people that are there now, that have been at all the games. I think you naturally get the hangers on at FA Cup first round big games when they're on the telly and people come out, which is great. But I think it's always about the sort of fans who've kind of been there and been to the the qualifying rounds and been to those games and put the effort in, or at their club every week. They're the people you want it for, aren't they?
I think that's the thing that you worry about, isn't it, when it comes to if clubs do get through the first, second, third round, that there is going to be more than likely a sellout, if not close to. So you worry that the ones that are there on the cold Tuesday nights, league games and county cup games and trophy games and all this sort of thing, that they might miss out. So I think it's what I've noticed when sort of northeast clubs have got it, they've kind of looked after those supporters. They've done the priority tickets. They've done the, if you're at our league game the week before, we'll give out or a couple weeks before, we'll give out tickets so you get kind of priority for the cup game. So but I mean, these are the moments that non-league fans live for, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's moments like this. It's the thought of their club going to, into a glamour tie, maybe being on TV. I mean, look, when I was sort of learning the trade, I was at Blythe Spartans, as you know, and I was there for that brilliant cup run when they beat Hartlepool on the Friday night and beat Altrincham in the first round as well, when Spartans were an NPL Premier club and Altrincham were in the National League, and beat them 4-1 on a Sunday afternoon show game that was on the BBC's kind of goal show, and then played Birmingham, and I just looked around, and the Birmingham game, yes, there was 3,500, whatever it was, in Croft Park, but it was nice seeing the ones that are there week in, week out, enjoying their moment and seeing them kind of front, left, and centre of what was going on. So, it's a reward. And I mentioned this last weekend with the weather the way it was and games being on. It's a nice reward for the volunteers that keep our clubs going. And I did a video where I said, they're the ones that provide the foundations for clubs to be built upon. So for them to get the rewards in games like this is kind of as much of the magic of the FA Cup as the actual scores for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's sort of talking about how clubs look after their own. Well, I think it's sort of AFC Sudbury did that a few years ago when they had Colchester on a Friday night, and they made sure that everybody, all through their youth teams got tickets as well. So it was kind of, real kind of tight knit sort of occasion for everybody on that Friday night, and that's what it's about. Because you do get the hangers on, which again, you understand, nothing wrong with it, but they're noticeable. They do stand out when you're at these games. People who've possibly not been there before. Like you say, it's for the people who are there all the time, and for the players and the management and the staff that sort of put in all these hours that we obviously don't see. They get to enjoy their moment. So, that'll be.
Took 9,000, didn't they, to Arsenal? I think their next crowd was.
There's definitely a lot of people from my college. There's definitely a lot of people at my college who weren't at Molesey in the fourth round qualifying.
No, that's it. Very true.
Definitely weren't. I didn't see that many people. Didn't see that many people there, but they managed to get to Highbury somehow. But all part of it. That's what makes it all so special. And all the games will be in Sunday's non-league paper. Obviously, you've got a preview of Worthing Forest Green as well. That's on the Monday night when the draw is going to be made as well, just before that one, which will be a fascinating time. Everything that's going on at both those clubs at the minute. But so make sure you pick up Sunday's non-league paper to read all about that. Subscribe as well. You can do that online to make sure you get it through your door or get it online. Also, like and subscribe to this podcast as well. We really appreciate all your support. Couchy, Mark, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekends, and we'll set up for a 0-0 now between South Shields and Spalding. Now with Jinx Mark and start to ruin this season. I hope he gets a few 0-0s now going forward. But thanks, chaps, for joining in. We'll see you again.